Welcome to another edition of Monday Night Muscle. I'm joined with the Hall of Famer, the fabulous Flex Wheeler.
That'd be me.
And of course, we got the mass with class all the way from Houston, Texas, Lee Labrada. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Big Lee, man. It's no secret that you're one of my idols. Yeah. I've made that abundantly clear coming up in the game. And of course, I'm Flex Wheeler's idol. So we've come full circle. No, but coming up in the game, Lee, I think not just me, I speak for all guys that had anything to do with classic type physiques and posing. We're here to pay homage to you. That's why we brought you on the show. And of course, you are second on our list behind your son, Hunter, who's the latest and the greatest big thing in the Labrada family. When I say big, that's like supersized compared to you.
Good Lord. Yeah. Also, I want to chime in on what Sean said. I mean, I remember the first time I stood on stage with you, and I remember walking over to you afterwards and asked you, how in the hell do you do that? And you're like, do what, Flex? And I'm like, you just stand there. You don't get tired posing. You looked at me like so puzzled, like, how don't you know? He's like, you practice. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, how you go in the gym and you train? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, you go in the gym and you practice posing. I'm like, huh. Never looked at it that way. But I owe it to you of trying to be a master on stage. I took to adhere to everything you said. And man, like Sean said, if anybody knows anything about bodybuilding, they know about you. I seen you in magazines, and I can't tell you what an honor it was to finally meet you, to stand on stage, and now to call you a brother and friend and a brother in Christ, and all the great information that you gave me on helping me start my own nutrition company, man. It is truly an honor to be able to have this ability to have you on as a guest.
The honor is all mine, guys. Right back at you. It was just such a pleasure and an honor to compete with you guys back in that era, and a lot of respect. Right back at you.
Yeah, well, I remember when I told Flex we were having you on, he's all, I beat him 3 times. I'm like, what? You beat Labrada 3 times? He did.
No,
I didn't know that.
Because he had to bring it up that, like, Flex, you never competed against Lee. I'm like, yes, I did.
Oh, no, yes. Flex did compete against me. In fact, I believe the first time was at the Ironman in '93.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And Flex was the new sensation.
Yes,
and
he was.
I was the veteran on the way out.
Yeah.
So it was really a very special meeting for our first time.
I think arguably you caught the best of Flex Wheeler. I tell him that all the time. 93 was his best. He believes it was 98, I think it was, or was it 96?
I had a few.
He had a, there's a few different Flex Wheelers out there.
There is a few.
93 to me was like his best, and you got wind of that. He was Rookie of the Year that year. He won the Ironman, the San Jose, the Arnold. He won everything that year, and then he got second in his rookie year at the Olympia. Now, you were also second in the Olympia in 1989 and 1990.
In 1990, yes, both.
Yeah, tipping in at a very heavy 185-ish, 190 pounds maybe.
But when we talk about pounds, let's talk about your son. There's a global picture of me, you, and Hunter when Hunter was just a child. I was on stage, you were holding him in your hand, and we were supposed to redo that photo at the Olympia last year. We missed it. We'll get it this year.
He can't hold him in his hand now.
No, but the difference, the joke was, the difference is going to be, I'm going to be tiny, you're going to be tiny, and Hunter's going to be the monster. Please talk to us. What is it like working with Hunter? I see you working with his posing, and how in detail are you involved in his preparation and everything?
Well, Hunter really does a lot of his own training and nutrition. He's just come into his own and learned a lot of these methodologies over the years, through different influences and my influence as well. And I do consult him. I do give him advice, sometimes a little bit more than he'd like to hear. You know how it is with fathers,
yes,
right?
Yes, sir.
But a lot of times, with sons, you're never a prophet in your own land, as the Bible says.
Yeah.
But Hunter's different. Hunter is one of these guys that listens and then takes some of the things and tries them for himself, and whatever works he keeps. So I've worked with him more on the posing side than on the training side and the nutritional side. But it's really just a lot of fun. honestly, I never thought that he would come this far, but he has surprised me at every level. He started out a few years ago, just 4 years ago is when he won his first competition.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I thought to myself, okay, well, he's good enough to win at this level, and okay, let's see what he does at the next level. It just kept surprising me.
Wow. Just kept surprising you. Went on to win the national championships, the overall, something you never did.
Right.
And then he went on to win the Tampa Pro, something that didn't exist when you were around back in the day.
Right.
And then he went right into the Olympia, and he beat Dexter Jackson, one of the greatest bodybuilders to ever walk the planet.
Well, and in fairness, that was just a great lineup. All of those great champions up there, and if we're honest, Dexter, perhaps when he was younger, he was a bit more formidable.
Yeah,
So we have to recognize his greatness.
Right.
And nonetheless, I mean, for the guy to be competing at 50, it just blows my mind.
Right.
That he looked as good as he did. But yes, and I will tell you that Dexter was just amazing in the way that he received Hunter, and they became very good friends after the Olympia. He gave Hunter a lot of good advice, and you could see them talking a little bit on stage, and and Hunter's just in awe of the guy. As am I. What a great athlete.
Well, what's good is we can all, as we get older, we can appreciate there's a time and a place. Like your season was almost over when Flex was a rookie coming in and he was kicking some butt. Like he was beating you as you're going into the twilight. So there's perspective. Hunter beat Dexter as Dexter was going into his twilight, and he's just coming into his own. Those are memories that you keep. I always brag. I beat Ronnie Coleman for like 5 consecutive years. Yeah, of course it was before he became Miss Olympia, but hey, I was whipping his head. Flex is the one that ruined it for everybody. He told Ronnie what to do. He gave him the secret sauce, and it was all over for everybody.
Oh my God!
I'm telling you, just such great athletes there, and you guys in your own right. I think both of you guys should have won an Olympia. So I mean,
think all 3 of us should have won an Olympia.
It would have been nice.
Yeah.
I'm partial, but at least you guys should have won one.
Well, again, we still love the phrase. Lee's like, they get to the final name and it's Lee. And by the way, it's Lee and Lee Haney.
Right.
And either I'm going to fly or I'm going to sink. Right?
So me and Sean were talking off camera about, our sons or whatnot wanting to follow our footsteps and how Hunter followed your footsteps. Darius had asked me if he could follow mine, and I just broke down in tears. I'm like, no, because I know how difficult it is. But how is that different? Because it's so interesting that Hunter is actually like the quadruple size that you are. So when you're watching him do his prep and his diet and everything, is it quite different than what you would have done because of the size difference and everything?
I don't think so. Not so much. The size difference. I mean, just by the grace of God, we got a second bite of the apple where the genetics are concerned. And had I married somebody else, I wouldn't have Hunter. Right. And Hunter is, I like to think, a larger version of me. Obviously, he's got
very large version.
A very, very large version. To give you an idea, we're literally 100 pounds apart. I'm $170 these days.
You're also about 100 years old.
And he's he's like north of 270. But I think that he gets a lot of that larger frame from my wife's side of the family. She's got some German on her side,
right.
And so we just hit the genetic lottery twice.
Yeah, we were also talking. Listen. He can have all the genetics in the world. You know what it takes to be a bodybuilder. It's not for everyone.
He's a hard worker also.
You can't just wake. Yeah. Nobody was waking you up and taking you to the gym.
No, 100%, guys. Listen, at the end of the day, I think it takes genetics to be a world-class anything. A world-class sprinter or, playing the NBA or the NFL or the MLB. It takes a very, very special genetic special athlete. But that's just the blueprint. If you don't put in the work, you get nowhere. And bodybuilding, guys, as you already know, is a 24/7 sport. I tell people it's the hardest sport in the world. If you do one of the top 3, basketball, football, whatever, when you get home, you can eat whatever you want. You can have a beer, whatever. If you're bodybuilding, it's 24/7.
Yeah, you can't fake it.
3 hours, you got to sleep, everything.
I think Mike Tyson said, you can't fake fighting, right? You get hit in the face, you get hit in the face, but when you watch your kid work out, do you ever see some stuff where you're like, are you nervous for the guy? I imagine if I'm watching my son squat with 5 plates,
Well, yes. The short answer is yes. Especially when he gets into those really super heavy rack pulls.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going 550 to 700 pounds on these rack pulls and stuff. And it's like, okay, I tell him there's life after bodybuilding. You guys already know that. There's life after bodybuilding, right? Mm-hmm. And so let the young man take care of the old man, meaning the things that you do today are going to determine if in the future you're going to have your hips replaced, or you're going to have a knee replacement or something, or worse, your vertebrae fused and whatnot. So treat your body with respect. And, he listens. He listens.
It's hard to hold a pure stallion in a stable. That thing just wants to get out and perform, right? That's him.
You betcha. And that was all of us in our prime, and that's him right now in his prime as well. But he's a bit of an old soul that way, and meaning that he's very careful with his exercise form. Very meticulous, very slow, and calculated, and that type of a thing. So I think that's the saving grace.
Yeah, you're a physique artist. You're totally the opposite. I can't see you squatting with 4 or 5 plates. I don't think I've seen you do super heavy rows. I mean, you were like a Chris Dickerson type artist, like you were shaping and sculpting more than you were actually building, or were you? Did you use heavy weights?
I was using, heavy is relative, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. At the end of the day, heavy for me is a warm-up weight for Ronnie Coleman, right?
Right. But it's your heavy.
So it was heavy enough for me, and my joints were such that they were small enough that I really couldn't go much heavier, without running the risk of injury, So I worked within what God had given me.
Okay. Well, so where did that come from? I mean, obviously, you came from an area where guys were horsing around crazy freaking weights. So did you just realize your weaknesses and your strength not to try to play the role of them? Where did that come from? Because Hunter has you, and he has everybody before him, but there wasn't that many in your era that was going light. I think maybe Frank Zane or somebody like that. But how did you come up with that, and how did you stay calm with that?
I trained heavy, guys. It may not have even been heavy for you guys, but it was heavy for me. Okay. So I do think that you need to train heavy to stimulate muscle. But I was super careful not to do things that would blow out my waist. So I never did super heavy deadlifts, super heavy squats. I did squats and deadlifts, but with moderate weights. I was always very, very careful about my midsection and those type of things.
Well, one thing we can't find, at least I looked, I can't find a picture of you out of shape. Like I've guest posed that there's like 1 or 2 floating around the internet. I've seen Flex a little bit, chunky monkey out at one of the FIBOs in Germany. But Lee, it's hard to find a picture of you like 20 pounds overweight. Like,
thank God they don't.
No, you see, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to see Lee is really, really rich, and what he's done is he paid to pull all those photos off.
Yeah, you pulled them all off. You bought them all. Like Arnold, buy out all these. But did you? What was the heaviest you got up to in the off season?
The heaviest I ever went up to in the off season was 210.
Yeah, and you competed like 190-ish, right?
So the heaviest I competed was 190, 192.
Okay.
Wow.
So your weight, you didn't let it get away from you.
No, and by the grace of God, I had one of these metabolisms. I was more of an ectomesomorph, meaning that I really had to eat a lot, to put on any weight because, I would just burn it off, So I was just kind of one of these kids that was skinny and naturally lean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's take it back, man. You are Cuban by descent.
Yes.
100%?
Oh, yes. Born in Cuba, in Havana, Cuba. Immigrated to the United States when I was 2 years old. Yeah.
I think you got a brother or two?
Yes, I have a brother, my brother Gene, and I have a sister Conchita and a sister Lourdes. Incidentally, all 3 of them have won bodybuilding titles.
Yeah,
are you kidding?
And your sister Lourdes did back in the day, right?
Yeah, my sister Lourdes, when she was 18, won Miss Texas and placed 4th in the USA's with 6 months of training.
And another little known fact, she wound up marrying Samir Banu, Miss Olympia.
Married Samir Banu. They have 2 beautiful daughters. Yep. And then my sister Conchita was a Miss Texas as well.
I didn't meet her. Okay.
Yeah, you've met her. And then my brother Gene was a late bloomer. He competed as a teenager, and then just basically stopped, to pursue personal training and the like. And then 2 years ago, at the age of 48, he entered the Branch Warren Classic here in Texas, and he went into the over 45 Masters. But on a lark, he went into the Open. as well.
Yeah.
So not only did he win the Masters, but he won the overall, the Open, and beating guys that were almost half his age.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying Jeans is in your pool, and they all spilt over into Hunter. So what do you think about Hunter in his future? I mean, seriously, step away from being his dad. Give us your true assessment on what you think this young man can really bring to the table.
I think that as long as he stays true to the way that he's put together, meaning that he doesn't try to pursue the size at the expense of everything else, as long as he can keep that waist tight, then I think that he has the potential to become a Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
You know, and now if he just does everything just basically to outsize everybody else, then I think he's going to fall into the same trap that everybody does. He could end up blowing his lines, you know, and I know some top pros like that, as you guys know as well, that have done that, have ruined their physiques that way in the pursuit of the size. And you know, bigger's not always better. You know?
Definitely.
So, and he needs to get harder. But you know, he's also almost, I think he's one of the youngest, if not the youngest guy on that Olympia stage. So he's got some time.
What is he, 26, 27, 28?
No, he's actually 28.
All right, we're going to come back with our first commercial break here at Monday Night Muscle. We're talking to the legend, Lee Labrada. We'll be right back after this.
It's Flex Wheeler with Monday Night Muscle with my great, incredible, hard-hitting, don't keep his mouth.
Pretty.
He's pretty too. Sugar Sean Ray and our great Lee Labrada. Obviously, as we said before, Lee, you've inspired both of us. You've inspired the world, and you inspired a freak of nature of your son, Hunter, as we were just discussing his possibilities of how great he can do. Me, you, and Hunter have had some texts going on before and different things like that. And that's one of the things I also said. I said, I really feel that Hunter can be a Mr. Olympia if he keeps everything going forward. What are your thoughts on Olympia and the trajectory that is taking? And what do you think your son can bring to the table that would add to that?
You know, what's really interesting is that I see a lot of size, which, you know, obviously that's one of the big aspects of bodybuilding. You got to have big muscles. Mm. Okay, so the size thing is still there, but I'm seeing a lot of these pros develop more complete physiques. You know, so I think that's a great thing, and I'm also seeing a lot better posing coming out of them. So I like the trajectory that it's on. You know, Big Ramy, you know, obviously is the king of size, you know, but if you were there at the Olympia, which I was, I think he's a deserving winner, you know, and for Hunter to ascend and to become Mr. Olympia, he's not going to outsize somebody like Big Ramy. He has to play to his strengths, and, you know, basically the way that he's put together.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, Big Ramy won the Mr. Olympia not based on his size. It was his conditioning that showed up on that day that got him there, because previously, earlier in the year, 50-year-old Dexter Jackson took Ramy to school at the Arnold Classic. So he was definitely beatable, the 50-year-old that your son beat at the same show at the Mr. Olympia contest. So it really is going to come down to who's in shape, not who's the biggest. And
well, that's what I always say. You know, I tell Hunter, size punishes, but conditioning kills.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if you're
you
shredded,
got these incredible quotes.
Yeah, if you look like somebody peeled your skin off, you know, that's how a guy like Frank Zane could compete back in the day. You know, but if he was just that much off. Mm-hmm. He's done.
And we saw that in 1980, right?
That was the same with me.
Slightly off, got beat by some guys that he had been beaten in the past. So conditioning is key. So, and he's at that age now, your son, who needs to just kind of focus on that aspect, because the size is there. There's really nothing else he needs to do. No one's saying you need bigger this, bigger that, bigger this. The back comes in a little bit more detail. Yep. You start to see a little bit more detail on the abs, and he learns how to stand like you in between rounds, because that's really what caught your attention, is sometimes in between the rounds when you weren't even called out. the eye was drawn over to you because you had this little Michelangelo type thing going on that people like myself and Flex could appreciate, but the judges would notice as well. There's a lot of things going in your son's corner. However, he's not going to be without a rival. We just got done talking to Big Nick Walker, who again, he's like the nemesis. He's like the Dorian Yates being plugged into that lineup. He's like the Branch Warren or the Jay Cutler, which I don't think he's similar to your son. The builds are not the same.
No.
Your son has the size and your shape, whereas Nick Walker kind of has that chunkiness of a Jay Cutler.
Yeah, I would say that's the correct assessment. You know, and it keeps coming down to conditioning. You know, you have to have the condition. I think your assessment of Hunter was correct.
How old is Hunter?
Hunter is just 28.
Oh my! So 28.
You got two other boys, right?
Yeah,
I do. I have two other boys, Blade and Pierce, and they're not bodybuilders per se. They work out to stay in shape.
Yeah.
The youngest one has recently been bitten by the bodybuilding bug, but he's got a different type of frame.
Yeah.
You know, he's more like my wife. He's taller. He's 6 feet tall. He's built more like an athletic look or a physique type person.
Physique. So, and you also now have the new gym that you're gushing all over on Instagram. and just for the record, let's get the new Instagram out because you had to close down the other one or something happened. You fired it back up, and within like a day, you had 10,000 followers.
Well, it was inside of 10 days, thanks to the Beatles song goes, thanks to a little help from my friends. Both you guys jumped right in and helped me out right away, which I so appreciate.
You're welcome.
You know what happened, guys, was that around Christmas time, my IG account just got pulled down, and I was told that it was pulled down because I was trying to imitate somebody. Yeah, well, who am I trying to imitate? Myself? No, it's like the whole thing doesn't make any sense, and we've tried numerous times. It's not for lack of trying. I finally said, look, I just need to go ahead and get that thing started. And it's Lee Labrada Official.
Lee Labrada Official. That would have been perfect back when we were competing because that would have thrown you off your game. If I had taken down Flex's Instagram account while he's training for the Olympia, it's game over.
Right? Nowadays, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I mean, these guys with like 300,000 followers and to lose their Instagram like that overnight, that would be just tragic.
Because you're trying to imitate someone else. I mean, how many millions of people out there are imitating all of us?
Well, you had to show. I think you had to show like your passport, your driver's license. You got to prove who you are these days on social media and get verified, right? But that being said, where I was going, Lee, was you opened a new gym.
Yeah, tell us about the gym. I know personally, I haven't been invited.
It's not open to the public, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think it's his gym.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Gym. I haven't been invited, so I don't know anything about it.
You guys are officially invited. Anytime that you're in Houston, I'll be mad if you go train anywhere else.
Amen.
And it's not a public gym. It's actually a private gym, 4,500 square feet.
Beautiful.
It's got 30-foot ceilings, and it is part of our offices here at Labrada Nutrition headquarters.
Nice.
We've got all the latest and greatest. We've got the Prime Fitness equipment in there. We got the Arsenal equipment. You know, we've got the Intech dumbbells all the way up to 200 pounds.
How about if you had that when you were competing? Would you have stayed at your?
Oh, dude. Yeah. I would have just eaten it up. In fact, Hunter and I just sat down and we made a wish list. It's like, okay, well, what kind of equipment do you want? And, you know, we just started writing down a wish list of everything that we wanted.
He's the benefactor. He's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh yeah, he's already told me, Dad. He goes, I'm training here for the next 10 years.
We had Gaspari on the show, and he went to in '89 where you got second. He actually flew in a leg press. And while he was training there, he said he was training there with his then Italian girlfriend for about the last 9 weeks for the Olympia, and he had to order in a leg press to train to try to beat you. And of course, Vince Taylor came into that show along with yourself, and he dropped down to like 4th place that year.
Yeah, he was 4th place that year. That was a really tough show.
Yeah,
and everybody was in really good condition.
My birthday. That was my birthday weekend.
Was it really?
Me and Barry DeMay were sitting in the audience because remember Barry DeMay tore his pec. He got 3rd in '88, and then he tore his pec.
Right.
I was coming over from Italy, so Barry was one of the favorites to do well in the '89 Olympia, and of course I was hoping I can get in there. I got suspended from not competing by weighing the million, but I got to watch you guys on my birthday with Barry DeMay, and man, what a difference it is to be on the stage one year and then to sit in the audience the next year. And I know Flex has been there and you've been there, isn't it? It's almost like impossible to think that you could be on that stage.
Get back up there. I know that's my thought.
It's funny that you said that. You know, because nobody's ever asked me about that, but that is exactly the feeling that I got when I retired in '95. Like next year, sitting in the audience in '96, it's like my jaw dropped open. I'm going, really, was I standing next to these guys last year?
Not only that, but you're beating
Because
some of them.
it's crazy how good those guys are.
Yeah, that's where the fan. That's where the fan in us comes out, right?
Yeah,
because Flex was
or
talking about when you got second in '95.
It was
after his car accident.
It was 1994. I had my car accident, and it going to the Olympia probably was the worst thing I could have ever done.
Yeah, it is very. I mean, that's where the bodybuilder's mind has to take. You got to have a very strong core because it's such a mind game getting ready for bodybuilding shows. To be there one year, to be out of it the next year, and then to get back up there another. It is a marathon. So when Flex rolled his car and broke his neck, I thought that was it for Flex.
Sean, he let the air out of my tire. I knew it was him. I knew it was him.
No, then I go back and then like in '94, Dorian tore his bicep, right? And you're thinking, that's it. There's no coming back. And he never took his foot off the gas and he went on to continue winning. For you though, '95, you walked away. You never looked back. Did you try to make a comeback after that? By the way.
So I took, believe it or not, I took a year off. I took '94 off.
Yeah.
So I competed. I competed through '93. Took a year off because I was just feeling burned out.
Yeah.
And then competed again in '95. And the Arnold Classic was the last one.
That was the last time. That's where Flex was in that show with Mike Francois winning that Arnold.
Yeah,
Classic.
Mike Francois. He looked great that year.
And we were ushering some new bodybuilders. I mean, remember Kevin Levrone was coming into his prime. Chris Cormier arrived on the scene. I'm surprised, Lee, because they did create in '94 the Masters Olympia, and you never took a bite at that apple.
No, you know what? I just felt. I mean, I guess I would turn that back around and ask why you didn't compete in the Masters Olympia.
It wasn't there when I was doing it. When I retired in '01.
Would you have done it?
I think you know what? In '01, remember this? Don Youngblood beat Vince Taylor in 2001.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I think it kind of. I think Claude Gruel came along. But yeah, when I retired, you're right, Lee. I was done. But I would have thought you still had enough gas in the tank.
I was done. Listen, nothing against those guys, competing in the Masters contest. But, if I couldn't win in the Open, the Masters wasn't for me.
Didn't have the significance.
Right.
Yeah,
and you're like, I think you're about 5 or 6 years older. You're 63 or 61?
I'm 61.
So you're about 5 years
gosh.
older than Flex, six years older than me and Flex. We caught the tail end of the great time. So when you were coming in the game, you won the 1985 middleweight national championships, and I believe you won the Universe too, or did you not?
Yes, I did. I won the Mr. Universe. That's how I got the. That's how I got my pro card.
That's right, because you had to win both, right? Because you couldn't get to the Universe without winning the nationals.
You had to win both, man.
So when you were coming up right behind Chris Dickerson and Tom Platz and Muhammad McCoway. I mean, take us back, because we didn't get to live that era.
Yeah, they had just come out.
Yeah,
they had just come out. Now I'll tell you what blew my mind is I grew up watching Robbie Robinson in the pages of the bodybuilding magazines, and I remember in '86 competing with Robbie Robinson at the Night of Champions. It's just my jaw just dropped open when I saw him backstage. I was just in awe of the guy.
That's how it was when I competed
because I'm a
you.
bodybuilding fan at heart. Also,
that feeling that you're talking about. Me and Flex we're right there.
That's the feeling I had when I stood on stage with you.
We've all had that feeling.
Actually, I was, and I don't want to go back too far, but actually I was standing next to Robbie Robinson and I was hiding behind him. Literally, I was kneeling down trying to hide from the judges, and I'm peeking over at you, and I asked Robbie, I was like, Robbie, how does he do that? Robbie with his what? How does he do what, Flex? I'm like, it's just the way he talks, right? I'm like, how does he stand like a statue? He goes, I don't know, won't you ask him? And that's when I went over and asked you, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about how did you get into your company? How successful has that been for you? And it's great dividends because you sponsored a lot of great athletes that compete in Olympia. And we're going to get that question from you when we come back from this commercial break. Stand by.
Okay.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on Trifecta.
All right, you're on with the Mass with Class. No, I'm not talking about the fabulous one. I'm talking about Lee
real.
Labrada right here at Monday Night Muscle. And Lee, Flex had a question that he needed an answer. Do you remember what the question was?
I do. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, how did you get into your nutrition company? And you have played tribute to a lot of great athletes being able to make a living, to be able to compete on the Olympic stage. So how did you do that? What was your thought behind it?
So in 95, when I retired from professional bodybuilding, I felt that I needed something that, to do so that I could stay connected to the sport. And so I chose to go into sports nutrition, and I launched Labrada Nutrition. And it was something that I've been working on for a couple of years. I endorsed products for Weider, and I was one of the first 3 guys at Metrics.
Wow.
And so I had some experience with nutrition companies. And I felt that I could do a better job. And so we launched out of a little 2,000 square foot office warehouse space. And it was just myself, my wife, a couple of employees. My dad would help us pack things in the warehouse. Whenever a truck would deliver product, we would literally throw on our sneakers and run out into the parking lot and unload it by hand, which used to make everybody else in the business park very mad because we'd block traffic for 2 hours. But, over the years, it just grew, and today we're in a 60,000 square foot building. We got very nice offices. And we deliver and supply product really all over the world and all through the United States. We've got the #1 best-selling protein shake in gyms around the United States, Lean Body. And it's been a real interesting journey. It's had its ups and downs, of course, and we're now in our 25th year. So by the grace of God, we're in a position where we can help a lot of people get into great shape.
And you have your show. You have your bodybuilding show.
Yeah, we have the bodybuilding show every year. It's one of the ways that we give back. We've got the Labrada Classic coming up here on July 24th. And Sean, you do your shows as well. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun being around the younger athletes. And providing a venue, a channel for them to compete with.
Truly, you have done that, given other people the ability to make a living like we did in a sport. And just the advice you've given me on my, me starting my nutrition line, as you talked about, just a couple of people. It's me, out of my little. I have a 3-car garage, so I made the 2-car garage into my little shop and everything, and doing everything myself. Obviously, I have a lot of assistance from All American Pharmaceutical because they make my product. Jeff Galini, who you're familiar with, but it's you really give hope, and you gave hope to me when I was trying to start my company. I actually reached out to you, and you were incredibly gracious with being able to do that. But you've given hope to so many other athletes being able to compete. So, who are some of the athletes that you are sponsoring currently now, and how do you help play a role in helping them get to great bodybuilders? And obviously, the ultimate goal is standing on an Olympic stage.
Flex, that's very, very gracious of you to say that. But I'm glad to help. And really, at the end of the day, that's really why we're here. We're here to help each other. I'm fond of that saying that we're all walking each other home. And if you're a Christian, you know exactly what that means. And so I'm just glad to help people. And now that I'm in a position to do that even more, it's just it's very, very gratifying. As far as helping athletes, there's a lot of amateur athletes that will show up here, and I'll spend an hour with them posing, or giving them advice, or I'll go to the bodybuilding shows and I'll hang out with the guys and give them advice and that type of thing. Hunter works with me directly, and we just launched that Pro Series line of products. So he works directly with me here at the company and doing a lot of the filming for the YouTube and the training series and things like that.
So is Hunter looking to follow in your footsteps of carrying a torch are you looking to turn the reins over to him, to Labrada Nutrition?
I think that Hunter is, looking to blaze his own trail, and he works with us at Labrada Nutrition and has been instrumental with the Pro Series. What the future holds, remains to be seen. It just depends on their level of interest.
Well, let me ask you, do you keep in touch, with some of the other guys? Every time I open up Facebook, one of our iron leaders they're going to the pearly gates up there, man. Some of the guys like
I'm telling you,
I don't know, like
Larry Scott.
Some of the guys are already gone, but do you ever reach out to any of the guys like Ricky Wayne or Muhammad Makawi? Do you ever try to seek out some of those guys that were there when you were coming up in the game?
Sean, I reach out to you every so often.
Yeah, I'm not going nowhere.
Some of those names I never even heard of. Wow.
I try to keep in touch with it. Everybody calls me for everybody's phone number, right? I talk to you probably more than most of the guys, you and Labroni, but
I'm messing with you. I keep up with a lot of the guys that are our contemporaries.
Okay.
Yeah.
You ever run into Ronnie Coleman out there in Texas anywhere?
Yeah, I run into Ronnie Coleman from time to time at venues and whatnot. What a great athlete, man, and really nice guy.
Great story.
And I'd still talk with guys like John Balick,
Iron Man.
Iron Man magazine, and boy, I tell you, talking about a guy that knows a
treasure trove. Yeah, he's like Peter McGough.
History. Oh my gosh.
It's like talking to Boyer Coe. I talk to Boyer Coe from time to time.
Yeah, Boyer Coe. I haven't talked to him in years. Yeah, that's
Huntington Beach.
Amazing.
Well, I saw a picture you posted on your Instagram, man. For 61, you look like you're trying to do something. What are you doing with that body of yours? I mean,
that's funny.
I walk a little bit. I kind of mess around with warm-up weights, but you look like you're training.
Yeah, maybe. Are you trying to come out to the 2021 Mr. Olympia in a classic physique or something?
Yeah, all 170 pounds of me.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
So you look good. Well, I mean, are you doing anything? What are you trying to do?
No, you know what? I'll tell you this. I eat a very clean diet year-round. I'm used to it. It's like riding a bike, and you know how habits are. And so I eat a very clean diet year-round, because if I don't, my body punishes me.
Okay.
My digestive tract is very sensitive, so I eat as much as I want, but I eat a very clean diet. I train every day, not crazy training like we used to do back in the day, but 45 minutes of weight training or 30 minutes of cardio, but I don't go a day without doing something.
You still like 170 pounds? Is that what you're hovering around?
Yeah, I weigh 170 pounds now. And, Sean, honestly, it's everything I can do to keep my weight up, which I think is laughable, because most people have trouble gaining weight as they get older, but I've always been an ectomorph, or I should say an ectomesomorph, so it's always been hard for me to keep weight on, and especially if you're eating clean, you got to eat a lot of clean food to keep the weight on,
So I'm so used to going to these shows, especially at Olympia, and seeing Labrada Nutrition with their great booth and everything like that. Are you going to be attending any shows with your company? I mean, obviously we have the Olympia coming up. It's wide open now. Orlando's wide open. They're moved to a bigger venue and everything at the Mr. Olympia. So is it a chance that we're going to see Labrada Nutrition, what you bring to the table?
Oh, there's always.
I said that because Jake is in the room, so shameless plug.
Hey, listen, man. Kudos to Jake and the entire crew there at the Olympia. They've done an amazing job, and yes, we'll be seeing our fans at those venues.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Awesome. So what's the wife up to, man? I mean, I still remember Flex Magazine, like 1985. I think your wedding pictures were plastered on the interior pages. I believe that's when you got married when you won the Nationals, right?
I got to tell you a really interesting story. Yeah, actually, we got married. I won the Nationals in '85. Won my pro debut in '86, and a couple of weeks later we were married.
Yeah, congratulations. Tell the wife we said hello, and
thank you.
We were looking forward to seeing your son compete where and win.
So it just on that note, it's 35 years for us here in June. 35 years of marriage.
Impressive.
And you guys are Americans, because it's American saying that most families don't make it 35 years. So kudos to you being a father, being a great husband, being a great person and supporter.
Well, who said he was a great husband? We got to get Robin on here to find that out.
Well, she's still married to him, and it's been 35 years, so that's a given. That's a given there.
Must be doing something right.
Yeah, but just everything you've done to the sport, and to be able to have your marriage like that. I see this incredible photo behind you. I just enchants me.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that person back there.
That one right there was taken in '95 after my last competition by Robert Reef, and so that was my last photo shoot, post-contest photo shoot.
Yeah, well, you suck in your stomach a little bit and twist your shoulders just a little bit more, and next time hit your tricep a little harder. That's Bill Dobbins, man. Bill, he's a perfectionist.
You should be judging, man.
Would you ever judge, Lee? Because I know Gaspari and Dorian both judged. Have you judged?
I would judge given the right time.
Okay.
Right now I'm very busy with the company.
Yeah.
I'm very busy with Hunter. I've got a granddaughter, a 5-year-old granddaughter.
Congratulations,
Brooklyn. And so thank you. And any available time that I have, I like to spend with my family. But it's someday I might contemplate getting back into judging.
Yeah. Well, we can appreciate your input, and amazing what you're doing with mentoring your son, at least overseeing and being actively hands-on and following him. We're going to see Hunter compete. I think he said he was going to do the Chicago Pro.
So what is his lineup for this year?
Chicago Pro, I think.
Yeah, he's going to be competing at the Chicago Pro, which I think is being held in Atlanta, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yes, that's going to be coming.
Right, and then
up
so hopefully there will be a W there, and then it's on to the Olympia.
So you guys would just shut down and then prepare for the Olympia.
That's right.
Right. So
That's exactly
even though
right.
it's difficult, give us your predictions on Hunter at the Olympia this year. Come on.
He was 8th
Just
place
let
a
it
year
out.
ago.
Let it out.
You know, I Flex, you know, let me just qualify what I'm going to say first. You know, all of those Olympians, they're there for a reason. They're such.
As your son should be.
Yeah, thank you. They're such great athletes. So, you know, I want to start by saying that. And then secondly, I want to say that it just depends on who shows up in shape. If Hunter shows up with crisp conditioning, if he's shredded, I see him placing top 5.
Wow.
Yeah,
There we go.
That'd be a very good vertical move in a year. And that's realistic. It's possible.
It's very
Tough
realistic.
lineup, but it's definitely possible based on the things that we've seen in past
Definitely.
Olympians. So we're going to keep a close eye out, follow them through the Chicago Pro, and catch up with you out there in the ATL as all roads lead to the Mr. Olympia in Orlando, Florida, October 7th to the 10th. We will see Lee Labrada, master with class there. As Lee Haney would say, lead the flea. You got something you want to say to Lee Haney?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what I'm going to say to Lee Haney. I say, Lee Haney, I love you, man.
Yeah,
That's very PC of you, brother.
And you too. I love you, big brother, man. I appreciate everything you've done for
Love
me,
you too, buddy.
everything you've done for this sport. Being able to help young athletes be able to compete in this sport and hopefully have a dream like we did, man. Just God bless you and everything you put your hands to.
God bless you, too.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
Lee
Both of you.
Labrada, that's going to bring us to a close here at Monday Night Muscle. For Flex Wheeler, I'm Sean Ray.